quickly and try and take that go forward away from the direct game which Castres is employing.
So we're going to have the first scrummage of the evening. It was a massive flashpoint last week. As we said, this interface in the first 20 minutes, certainly from a Castres point of view, wasn't good enough for a French team. They won't get away with that here.
Very, very important that this Munster side back up their performance last week at scrum time. So Castres have changed their whole front row and are looking to settle the score at scrum time. Interesting to see the refereeing as well. They weren't very happy with a few of the performances and the decisions of the referee.
Well, the two front rows almost straight to ground before Conor Murray could feed that scrummage. Yeah, it's always interesting when you get two different styles. I mean, you watch a lot of French rugby, and it's something they take such pride and passion in. Not to say for 1 second that it's not the case in Ireland, but it is slightly different, and maybe that's my excuse for not knowing really what was happening last week. Once or twice I was looking at the referee and thinking, no idea what he's going to give here. Well,
certainly the weather conditions won't help tonight. That ground will be very greasy underfoot, and it'll be hard to stay stable. So we're looking to see Munster under a lot of pressure here.
There's a penalty coming here from Castres. It was a really good shunt on from that front row, and that is a real feather in the cap of the Castres packet forwards. They're a long way away from us, but there's a little bit of needle in there. There's a lot of back slapping, and that'll go down very well around here, Jeremy.
The crowd are really getting behind this pack of forwards, and they're trying to settle the score from last week. So it's very important that Munster can hold their scrum and get quality quick ball if they want to play or if they want to exit from their half. So the French side, 8 minutes in, have a penalty. The ball has been placed on the kicking tee, but we're going to go and hear about a try at the Aviva from Andy.
It's Leinster 5, Bath 3. First real attacking platform for Leinster off the scrum. They've kept the ball in and really put a shunt on, and from the resulting scrum won about 2 or 3 good phases of rugby. Ran out to the left hand side to Jack Conan using the full width of the field. Their number 8 carried well, bulldozed his way over 1 or 2 tacklers and managed with a little bit of momentum to dot down on the left hand side. Sexton to take the conversion. It's 5-3 Leinster Bath.
Okay, back here, Munster lead Castres by 3 points to 0. Is that going to be the case? Well, the penalty from probably around 30 metres on the angle. It was just outside the 22, but from a wide right-hand position was the connection just didn't seem great, and it went to the right and wide on a low trajectory, which is uncharacteristic. But Munster let off there from what was a scrum penalty.
That's very disappointing from Erdla Plata. He has had mixed bag from the tee today this season so far.
We talk about Joey Carberry's penalty, and there's a kick downfield from one of the Castres players. I think it was Taylor Paris, and he was hit a little bit late by Niall Scannell. The referee's going to stretch out that right arm and give a penalty from where the ball landed, which is just about 2 or 3 metres outside the Munster 22 in a very, very kickable position. So a chance, having missed that penalty just a short time ago, for Urda Paletta potentially to make amends. I'm not sure it was actually Scott Spedding who was hit late, the fullback, as he sent a Gary Owen downfield.
That's very reckless. Unfortunately, these weather conditions, discipline will be very, very important, and Castres have got a penalty straight in front of the post. This one should be a lot easier than the last one.
Niall Scannell will protest his innocence and say that he was in the air and trying to block the ball, and his follow through carried him into the French fullback. But I think Wayne Barnes was absolutely justified to signal the penalty, and the kick downfield was a good one, some 30 metres, so it's given Castres a good opportunity here. From the opposite side of the pitch, from where the previous penalty was missed, just about 26-27 metres out from goal. We've played 10.5 minutes. Munster leading Castres by that Joey Carberry penalty. Carberry in for JJ Hanrahan, who of course kicked 100% of his kicks last week, and Castres have kicked that penalty. It is 3 to the boot of Urda Baletta, and it is 3 points apiece as we approach 11 minutes.
Well, this is exactly what Castres want. They want to get on top in set piece. They want to get penalties down in their half and start the edge of score, get the crowd behind them, and get a very physical performance on their home ground.
Joey Carberry gets us underway again. didn't get his kick right, kicks it straight towards the post, and it's the scrum half for Castres, Rory Cockott, who kicks it downfield towards Mike Healy. Now, can he spot a gap in that Castres defence as he brings it up towards halfway? He can't. He's hit by a very, very solid two-man tackle as Conor Murray gets it in field to Dave Kilcoyne, Scannell and John Ryan in that front row. I say that because I anticipate there will be lots of scrummaging tonight given the conditions. Carberry. As John Ryan now tries to make headway, and again he's put the ground fairly quickly. It's been a very, very impressive physical effort from the Castres players inside the opening 12 minutes here. Munster have it on their own 10-metre line. Tadhg Byrne goes in to protect. Conor Murray waits. Munster captain Peter O'Mahony is there. Billy Holland also. And up goes the box kick from Conor Murray. There's plenty of hang time on that. Andrew Conway thought he was impeded. Urda Baletta got himself up in a very, very good position, and he claimed that very, very well near to the touchline. He was put into touch, and it will be a Munster line-out, I think, if they're not going to give a penalty. No, it's a line-out to Munster.
Yeah, we can see both defences really using these conditions to get off the line quickly and put massive amount of pressure on. And it's really, really a lot of niggle in this game so far. We can see both teams on the edge.
Both sides last week were a little bit errant at line-out time, turning over the ball on 4 occasions. They go for O'Mahony, and Scannell just about finds him. It went through the fingertips of the Munster captain just for a second, but it's back on the Munster side, and it's carried now by Scannell. Conor Murray, and it goes to CJ Stander. And Stander now on this occasion makes 2 or 3 metres through the tackle. They got a good latch on from Tadhg Byrne, and it's with Murray, and he gets it away to Carberry, and he uses that left foot this time to dink it through into the Castres 22, and they're going to have to scramble to get their way out of this defensive position, Castres, because the Munster line speed was very, very good, quickly up into that Castres 22, and they put Taylor Paris, the left winger for Castres, under serious pressure. Now Cockott tries to use his forwards, and Castres just slow it down, protecting the ball that's there for the scrum half. It just got away from his foot, and Wayne Barnes indicates that it's ball out, and Munster can drive around the corner and try and make it difficult, but that's good defence from Castres. They've barreled away outside their own 22, or at least very much up to it. Can they complete their exit strategy here? A Munster player comes through over on that far side and is counter-rucked almost over the top of the ball, and it's a really fierce contest at the breakdown, but it's Castres ball. Munster haven't managed quite on this occasion, at least, to turn it over. 3 points apiece on off the ball live in France. 13-14 minutes on the watch. The noise level rising from the Castres supporters. It's not quite at capacity, but somewhere in the region of 11,500 to 12,000, I would have imagined. The ball goes high into the sky, down into Munster territory, and it was well fielded by the backpedaling Joey Carberry. Oh, it's a really strong carry from CJ Stander. He just bounced off the first challenge and made fully 20 metres, and then he was hit really hard. I think it was Kevin Furman coming up. There's another cataclysmic hit on Joey Carberry, and a little bit of afters, and if it wasn't game on up to now, it certainly is. 14 and a half minutes in. Joey Carberry has taken a long time to get up from that hit. He was absolutely poleaxed in the solar plexus.
We can see very aggressive defence from both sides, and there's a great bit of variation there from Joey Carberry, putting the ball in behind, putting the pressure onto Castres. I think that's what's necessary moving forward. Use the conditions, turn them, keep them down in their half, and put them under pressure.
Really, really good, strong carry from CJ Stander. He sat down one of the Castres forwards before he was then bounced, and we're just watching the replay of that absolutely textbook challenge on Joey Carberry, who is back to his feet, albeit a little bit gingerly. Quickly to the Aviva. There's been another try between Leinster and Bath.
It's Leinster 14, Bath 3. A very, very tasty start for Leinster. They've taken the ball from a left-hand side free kick, and James Ryan carried, bulldozed his way over to the Bath defenders. From the resulting ruck, Sexton's trademark wraparound play on the loop got his hands free past to Jordan Larmour, who sidestepped the fullback, and as the cover defence caught Larmour, he managed to free up Rory O'Loughlin, who scored right hand side of the posts. Sexton added the conversion to make it 14-3 to Leinster.
Andy, thank you. 3 points apiece, 15 minutes gone at the Pierre-Fabre in Castres, and Munster will resume with a scrummage just inside the Castres half of the pitch. Conor Murray has the ball in his hands. I couldn't quite see who made that huge hit on Joey Carberry. It may well have been the open side, Matthew Babio, but Carberry is okay to continue, and Murray is ready to feed that scrum. There's plenty of movement before the feed goes in from the Munster scrum half, and there's plenty of jostling for position. Wow, the referee on this occasion gives a penalty to Munster. We saw the head of Kevin Furman pop up in that hooker position in the front row, and once again there's a little bit of afters. No love lost between these two front rows. The pack of forwards throughout, indeed, it's fair to say, Jeremy.
Yes, very interesting there. The French players and public think there's a wee bit of injustice there because they were going forward, but indeed their hooker did come up out of the scrum, and it's another opportunity for Munster just to chip away on the scoreboard here and get 3 points.
So Joey Carberry places the ball on the kicking tee, 15 metres in from the right hand side of the pitch and just beyond the cast 10 metre line, so he's about 5 metres in to the cast half of the pitch, and judging by his first penalty, which he converted with consummate ease on 3 minutes, this one is pretty much of an identical distance, so you would anticipate with the confidence he would have taken from the first kick that he has this within his range. He may just have sore ribs, having only just been upended a matter of seconds ago, but this to put Munster back in the lead as we approach the 17th minute of what's been a fairly frantic opening here. Carberry strikes right-footed. He's caught that one beautifully as well. Has he brought it round quite enough? No, he hasn't. And the first to stand on their feet were the Cast supporters right behind the posts away to our right-hand side. Fractions decide games, and that one was very close, just not quite there on this occasion from Carberry.
Yes, and we're seeing the weather conditions favorising the team that's in defence here, so there's been a lot of kicking so far, and the counter-attack opportunities are going to come. I think we're going to see most of our attacking play coming from counter-attack.
I haven't mentioned Keith Earls so far this evening. It was he who took that kick downfield and returned it back into the cast half of the pitch. Okay, the late game in the Premier League this evening is at Craven Cottage. Fulham are playing West Ham United. To tell us about a goal, here's Aaron Paul.
No, West Ham United won this goal coming firmly against the run of play. Fulham have been the dominant team in the opening proceedings of this game, but it was Felipe Anderson who started the attack down the left-hand flank. He beat Dennis Adoy for strength, squared the ball for Robert Snodgrass, who smashed home for his second West Ham United Premier League goal. It's Fulham 0, West Ham United 1.
It remains 3 points apiece here between Cast and Munster. Live on off the ball in France. There's been a mistake from the Cast scrum half, who's kicked the ball out on the full, and he's handed position and possession back to Munster. We will have a line out from Niall Scannell midway between the Cast 22 and the 10 metre line. Munster slow to get their numbers to the line there.
Yeah, interesting. Last week they attacked around the zone of the defender at the back of the line out there, the hooker, and they made a few holes there.
Well, the referee Wayne Barnes is indicating a penalty. I think the Munster player that jumped in the line out he was infringed. He might have had his hands taken away. Yeah, they used Chris Cloutier to good effect around that kind of corner last week, trying to expose the lateral speed, if you will, of the Cast defence.
Yes, and Castres have brought in Yannick Caballero to put a lot more pressure on the line-out area. He nearly stole the last line-out, and they're just infringing there by attacking the man in the air and giving away another opportunity to kick a post.
Yes, already that Cast penalty count is climbing. They won't be happy with that. As I said, they were penalised 13 times last week. Now Joey Carberry is back over to the far side of the pitch now. As I mentioned, JJ Hanrahan's reward for being almost flawless last week. Kicked 3 penalties, 3 conversions, took a superb try, 20 points and man of the match, and he's back on the bench this evening.
Well, this is a really good start from Munster. They've played a lot of territory. They've put them under a lot of pressure with their defence, getting off the line quite quickly, and they've got the just rewards with the indiscipline of Castres. So if they can continue on this vein, then they're going to get more attacking opportunities as well.
So Carberry strikes, and he struck that very, very well. There was plenty of conviction in that right boot of Joey Carberry, and Munster, having played 20 minutes here in France, retake the lead against the French champions. Munster 6, Cast 3 in the teeming reign in France on off the ball. And the voice just before that, in case you're just joining us, was the former Cast captain, first overseas captain, I believe, Jeremy Davidson, who's on co-coms duty tonight. Now there's a scrappy ball at restart time. Munster hands on it, Cast hands in there too, and some pretty intensive counter-rucking from the team in black this evening, but it's Munster ball and it hangs up the box kick from Conor Murray, and the take is very good. Andrew Conway couldn't quite get his positioning correct. Now how that ball ended up back on the Munster side, I think Tadhg Beirne is in there, or at least it seemed that Munster had turned it over. There's a real scrap for it. They wanted more numbers in around the breakdown. Penalty goes the way of Castres, and they've taken it quickly with that man that Jeremy mentioned just a short time ago, Yannick Caballero, playing at number 6 tonight in that Castres back row. Now quick hands from the Castres prop forward, but it was a loose ball. It was an ambitious pass. There was nobody there to read the communication or take it, but it still is Castres ball, and it's with Cockott, the scrum half, and he tries to get his pack of forwards moving. They're right in front of those Munster posts, some 25-30 metres out. They go to contact. Tadhg Beirne got in there, the ball spilled and it went to Cockott, who did really well. Oh, that's brilliant play. Mark Clark, the tight head prop, up to 5 metres out of absolutely nothing. A little bit of ingenuity from the scrum half, I think it was. It just popped the ball out of the back of his hand. It went to a Castres player. Now they've thrown a huge pass out to that right hand side. They momentarily seem to maybe have numbers if they could move it quickly through the hands. The Munster scramble defence was across, but there was a lot of air on the pass, and it allowed Munster to get their defensive set reorganised. Now Castres have it midway inside the Munster 22, straight in front of those Munster posts. The noise level, decibel level rising once again. Flat to the line they go this time, and taken on by Lloyd Jacquet. Cockott gets it away into midfield. Great tackle. Somebody out of that Munster defensive line very, very quickly. It could well have been Scannell or potentially Sammy Arnold. Couldn't quite see who it was. The ball is there to be played from Combezo, the outside centre. Castres still have it. They go to Babayo, and they're taking the ball at pace now and trying to manufacture good lines and puncture holes in that Munster defence. They're varying their attack, and there's lots of willing runners here. They're right in front of the post. They might be in. Hint of a gap, just a shard of light opening up in that wall of red defence, but it's really, really good continuity and patient play, and it's brought the crowd to their feet. They feel that there might be something in the offing here. I try to tell you about very shortly at the Aviva between Leinster and Bath, but we may well have the first try of the evening any second now from Castres. They're piling numbers into that wedge of forwards and drive it in to the Munster 5 metre line. Will they decide to try and put some width on the ball now? No, they're going through the forwards, and they're inch by inch, metre by metre, making their way forward. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 Munster players hunkered down in behind that pillar defence, and wider than that to try and stem the tide. We will go to Andy Dunn very shortly to tell you about Leinster Bath, but let's stay with this momentarily. Wayne Barnes goes around the far side. There's a drive on. Barnes has a look. Now, have they scored? The referee is right there. There's 2 or 3 Castres players popping up the screen on that far side. It's a long way away from us. Caballero jumped to his feet. There was 1 or 2 arms in the air. The supporters behind that goal were on their feet, and Wayne Barnes, I feel, will say either held up or TMO. That will be the decision. You would fancy that he will need a second set of eyes on that. Yes, let's go quickly to the Aviva and hear about another try from Andy Dunn.
Yeah, Leinster 14, Bath 10. Very much against the run of play from that initial 20 minutes. A Bath line out on the right hand side, rather elaborate, looked like they weren't really going anywhere, but from the resultant phase play, James Wilson, much like his opposite number Sexton, took the ball to the line, got his hands free and freed up Henry Thomas, the Bath tight head, to make a 15-yard dash. Thomas was dragged down just short of the line, and Francois Lowe picked and went very, very close to the line. Leinster struggled to deal with his physicality in the first 20 minutes, and similarly they struggled to keep Lowe away from the try line. He managed to edge his way over, and it's Leinster 14, Bath 10.
Andy, thank you. Remains Munster 6, Castres 3 for now at least. Remember, we're reviewing with the television match official the potential of the first try of the evening here at the Pierre-Fabre. We've seen 3 or 4 replays of Castres driving over the line, and Wayne Barnes has seen enough with the television match official, who is Rowan Kitt from England, and we have the first try of the evening, and it goes to the French champions. Tadhg Beirne was doing his level best as he was carried over that line to rip it clear, but he couldn't do it, and it is a try to the French champions.
Yes, great endeavour there, because Yannick Caballero took the option of playing quickly on the penalty, and they've played direct. They've played on top of the defence. They've had the extra pass. They've had one or two offloads. They've upped their tempo in the 22, and we can see the firepower of their forwards just getting across that line, having a bit of patience with the pick and go at the end, and making that score, which brings this game alive.
It certainly does. We've played 24 and a half minutes. The conversion attempt is good also. So the TMO has ruled that Castres did enough with those pack of forwards to get over the Munster line. And having trailed by 6 points to 3, they now lead by 10 points to 6. And it is very much game on. And it is just reward for, they've had 2 or 3 really good salvos, really good periods of continuity play down in that Munster 22. Nothing like we saw last week, and they have been duly rewarded for it.
Well, we said from the start that this pack of forwards really want to make amends for last week, and they've certainly done that in the 22. They've been attritional, they've been aggressive, they've gone forward, they've created the platform in the 22 whenever they upped the pace, and then they were patient in those last crucial metres to get the score.
So Munster will restart, trailing by 10 points to 6 with a line out midway between the 10-metre line and the Castres 22 on this right hand side of the pitch. Niall Scannell has the ball in his hands, and he's waiting for Wayne Barnes to sort out the 2 lineouts here. So Scannell is poised, and he goes over the head of Billy Holland this time to the Munster captain Peter O'Mahony, and Mahoney takes it well, and they funnel it all the way back to Scannell, and Conor Murray is there, and he's dictating things at the base of the Munster maul, which is not going anywhere at a rate of knots. So he feeds the ball into midfield to Scannell. A little bit of crossing there between Scannell and I think it was Chris Clute, and for a second the inside centre thought he was away, but very clear and easy for Wayne Barnes to indicate a Castres penalty. Tri-fest at the Aviva. Yet another one to hear about between Leinster and Bath from Andy.
That's Leinster 19, Bath 10 after 26 minutes. A very opportunistic James Lowe score. The Maverick that is Lowe, playing by his own rules. Leinster got a penalty as players walked away from the post, and the referee settled to make a call. Lowe tapped and went, picked up a loose ball and managed to dive over from about a yard out. Leinster do look unstoppable. They look very, very aggressive with the ball, very direct, and very deservedly in the lead. Leinster 21, Bath 10 after 26 minutes.
Just to confirm, what we couldn't really see was that the last man up from that try a few moments ago was the loose head prop forward, the New Zealander Fainunu. Now then, we're going to have a Castres penalty for that little bit of crossing in midfield between Scannell and Clute, and it's 5, 6, maybe 7 metres into the Castres half of the pitch, and it's a shot at goal is the decision for Scott Spedding, the South African who's been capped 23 times by France. This is a long way out, must be nearly 60 metres, and you know what, he's only about 2 feet short of adding 3 points. That was a really good effort, but not quite.
Yeah, that was disappointing from Munster. They set up an excellent maul, but against this big heavy pack of Castres forwards they didn't get any go forward, and then unfortunately the running lines weren't just good enough. A bit of crossing there and gave the opportunity to Scott Spedding, which he's just missed.
Not short of kicking options in this Castres team. I've seen Rory Cockett, the South African, kick goals from 55-60 metres on occasion, and for what was a really good opening 25 minutes, frantic 25 minutes with lots of physicality and very few errors. We've just had a couple of errors, as Jeremy's been referring to. The rain has been getting heavier and certainly hasn't ceased now for the last half hour or so. So it's becoming a heavy pitch and a slippery ball, and that one's been knocked forward by a Munster hand, and it's going to be a Castres scrummage.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they call from this scrum, whether they just try and go for a penalty straight out and get the upper hand as they did do in the early moments of this game at scrum time.
2 sets of forwards ready to pack down just on that Munster 10-metre line. And the ball is in the hands of the aforementioned Rory Cockett, the 11 times capped French international, whose previous rugby career in South Africa was with the Sharks and the Lions, and this time he's dropped the ball, dropped it forward on the Munster 10-metre line. So we're playing a knock-on advantage from Wayne Barnes, nothing accruing, so back we come for yet another scrummage.
Yes, that ball's just proving too greasy in the contact area and hard to handle, so we're going to have another scrum here. Munster capable of holding that Castres scrum there. The only problem is now they have to hook, so will they be able to hold the pressure coming on from Munster, from Castres?
We always talk about the difficulties that coming away to France in this competition have caused Irish sides down the years, but Castres haven't had it all their own way against Irish teams in the recent past, at least. No wins in their last 8, would you believe, against Irish sides. 1 draw and 7 defeats, and historically it's not really a ground that Munster will fear. They did, and of course, what is it now, 12 years ago, inflict Castres' worst ever home defeat when they came here and won by 46 points to 9. And broadly speaking, Munster have only lost one of their last 6 away matches in the pool stages. Now that scrum has been wheeled around to the right hand side, and Wayne Barnes says we just have to reset that.
Yes, a little bit of Castres dominance coming on there, so we're not quite getting the platform for Munster to play off. It's really important that they attack this scrum and get quality ball.
Nice for you to come back here, of course, having spent 3 good years here and renew old acquaintances. And you were telling me it's a rugby frenetic it's town, and they love the rugby here, and certainly, I mean, last season must have been incredible.
It's an incredible atmosphere here for only having 50,000 people in this town, and they really get behind their side. Having enclosed the whole stadium, there's a great atmosphere, and last year was an incredible performance for one of the smaller sides in this French championship to go all the way and be the underdogs and win the championship.
And that scrum is very, very unstable, and the referee gives a Munster penalty on this occasion. Chris Cloete was unceremoniously popped out the open side of it here. He's wondering what happened there. You may be able to tell him. I certainly can't from this kind of vantage point.
Interestingly, that decision probably would have gone the other way had it been a French referee. Those decisions tend to go to the side which is going forward, and we see the Castres scrum having wheeled round to the left. Their loose head just getting on top of John Ryan there and putting him under massive pressure, but they've got penalised for coming round the corner.
I think that was one of the frustrations at Thomond Park in Limerick last week from the French side. There were many, by the way, but they felt that they were harshly done by in a couple of set-piece situations. Munster restart with a line-out, but that's not gone correctly. The ball's gone in from Scannell. Peter O'Mahony's got his hands on it. The referee's going to award a free kick. There's been another goal in the late game in the Premier League. Fulham, remember, taking on West Ham at Craven Cottage. Let's hear about it from Aaron Paul.
Fulham 0, West Ham 2. Another goal against the run of play for the visitors, who have simply been more clinical than Fulham. Fulham definitely dominating for large parts of this half, but West Ham grabbing their second through Michael Antonio. The ball played in from the left, knocked on towards the back post, and Antonio with enough time to bring it down, trap it and fire past the onrushing Sergio Rico. West Ham very much deserving their 2 goals. They've been the more clinical of the sides. It's Fulham 0, West Ham 2.
Aaron, thank you very much indeed. It's a Castres line-out, and they went ambitiously to the tail gunner all the way at the back. The ball didn't go to hand, but it's back on the Castres side, and it's been picked up there by Mathieu Babillot, and it's at the feet of the Castres scrum half, Rory Cockott, to try and fire one out to that right-hand side. Vaiapulu now is wearing 8 this evening. Remember, wholesale changes in the pack of 4 with 7 changes in all from last week. That's a tricky one for the fly half to try and juggle. He tried not to take the pass, which was thrown at his bootlaces initially, controlled it with his foot, and then when he went to pick it up, he knocked it forward.
Yeah, Munster just need to get their hands back on this game. They've had 2 opportunities, 2 lineouts in the Castres half, and unfortunately they've infringed on both of them, so that's turning over vital possession in the opposition territory that they could have held on to and put them under pressure.
Yeah, a little bit scrappy there. A free kick from the last line out just as we were handing you over to the action at Craven Cottage. We talk about what the achievements of Castres last season and the way they finished out the playoffs, to go away and win away against Toulouse, away against Racing, and then against Montpellier in the final, winning by 29 points to 13. 19 points from the boot of Urda Paletta on that occasion, and to bring the silverware back to Castres, a monumental achievement. It's gold, of course, it's not silver, isn't it? The Bouchelaire, is that the correct pronunciation? But meantime, the scrum is the two front rows just about to stare each other in the face. They're standing right up, and listen to the noise, because Wayne Barnes says that's a Munster penalty. And yes, the natives are restless.
Interesting decision again. We can see the Castres scrum going forward on that left hand side. Castres really feel as if they're dominant in that area and they should be getting those penalties, but Wayne Barnes has decided that they've infringed by coming round the corner.
So it will be a Munster penalty, and Joey Carberry has the ball in his hands, and he's 5 metres inside the Munster half of the pitch, right in the middle of the pitch, and he will try and deliver one down towards that Cast 22. Has he got enough on that? No, he's missed his touch. Tried to deliver it too far into the 22, almost to halfway inside, and didn't measure his kick, didn't get enough height on it nor distance, and it's been returned almost up to halfway. We've played 34 minutes. The opening half of this game has flown by. It's become a little bit fractured and broken up in the last 10 minutes. Prior to that, there was a lot of fluidity and fluency about it, a lot of good play, both sides showing good ambitions in tricky conditions, and I think for the first time in the half the rainfall has abated as Munster take that line out, and they find their captain Peter O'Mahony, and they go into midfield with Dave Kilcoyne with a good carry. It's there for Conor Murray, and he goes in behind Scannell, and then Conor Murray was he found his fly half Joey Carberry just on his heels a little bit, who ran out of ideas and position. He was caught in no man's land, having run down a cul-de-sac. He just popped it away to his left hand side, and Munster looked to rebuild with Kilcoyne, and then Conor Murray to Carberry, and then a little bit of space now. That's brilliant from Keith Earls. Tried to kick one in behind, thought for a second he might have a player out to his left hand side, but a little dip of the shoulder, a feint from Keith Earls, and all of a sudden he was in behind the Cast defence, and his kick through was blocked into touch over on that far side. But that was really good from the Ireland winger.
We can see Munster really trying to play off this four-man line out, coming back down the blind side and trying to leave options open against the Cast forwards on that small blind side.
Earls really quickly through the gap and had a player to his left hand side. That could have been the first try of the evening for Munster. As it is, it's a Munster line out inside the Cast 22. They go all the way towards Tagburn, towards the tail, and he gets both hands on it, and then he's dragged down by a Cast player, but it's Munster ball inside that Cast 22. Remember, 4 minutes to go, and Munster trail the French champions by 10 points to 6. There's slow ball here from Munster, but Scannell comes to meet it, takes a good line, he's well tackled inside the 22 with Murray, and he gets it away to the Munster open side. Klute, haven't seen too much of him in open play so far this evening, but he's carried through 3 or 4 metres there. Murray now gets it away to Dave Kilcoyne once more. Carberry is poised, there's a Cast hand in there, and it's legal. Player was on his feet and came through and just pinched the ball. That's a huge turnover, and it's thumped away by Cockott to this near side, and that's a really, really good kick too, and they've lifted the siege.
That's a fantastic steal from Mathieu Babillot. We can see why he got capped for France in the summer. Really important ball in the 22 after the third phase.
And Munster were looking very, very dangerous, poised inside that 22, but really good play from the open side. Crowd enjoyed that, and now they mix it up at line out time, Munster, and will they reap dividends? They're keeping Cast guessing here. Carberry has it just shy of the Cast 10 metre line. Conor Murray, they're over on that left hand side of the pitch. Tagburn is the recipient of the Conor Murray pass on this occasion, and they're resourcing the ruck quite effectively here at Cast. 2 or 3 players in there in that post position just trying to wrestle the ball away, but Munster have it with Mike Haley far on that Munster left hand side. Murray now through the hands they go on this occasion to the tight head John Ryan. Again there's Cast players over it, but the Munster clear out on this occasion is pretty good, and Munster have it. Still having to work hard to make any real headway up to the 10 metre line. Murray digs one out, gets it away to Kilcoyne again. He's carried a lot of ball in this half. There's only 90 seconds of the half remaining, and Munster trail by 10 points to 6. Murray can play it now to Carberry, and Carberry elects to kick one high, and up comes Conway. Really good hang time on that. That's been knocked back in the eyes of Wayne Barnes, the referee, by Laveau. And it's cast ball just outside their own 22, so nothing doing on that occasion from Munster. The kick from Carberry was a good one. They just couldn't get their kick chase right, couldn't get Andrew Conway really in the air to make it a very, very good contestable kick. Cockott gets his kick away. Healy calls it. Carberry is there, and we're back into the Munster half of the pitch now. Healy, can he get away from one or two tackles? Can't quite get away from Vialele. Took him to ground well just inside the cast half of the pitch. Is there for Tadhg Byrne. Bounces off the first man. I think it was Vaiapulu put to ground. Murray is there. Carberry receives it. Options on the inside from Keith Earls, who eventually just overran his fly half, but it was a good little half break from Carberry, and now Scannell's got a little bit of open country in which to run into. Makes a good 10-15 metres, almost up to that cast 22. It's slow and awkward ball for Conor Murray. He felt there might have been an illegal hand from a cast player in there at ruck time. Not sure there was. It was carried then by CJ Stander, and now out into midfield to Sammy Ord. A little switch pass back on the inside. Cast players coming through in good numbers, making life very, very difficult for Conor Murray. Advantage to Munster. Player off his feet, killing the ball. It's going to be a Munster penalty. Crowd not happy once again. Well, it's not a penalty, it's only a knock on, is it?
Well, that's very interesting. Munster playing from a four-man line out again, looking to open up both sides of the field to play, keeping their width on the blind side, happy not to make much yards on the first phase, so that they can come back down that blind side and isolate those big fat forwards on the blind side. They kept the ball well there through the phases, and were very unlucky not to get a penalty at that ruck.
Yeah, it looked as though it was the full outstretched left arm of Wayne Barnes. It wasn't. It's only a knock on. We must have gone over the 40 as I checked the scoreboard away to the left hand side with the clock just beneath it, and we are over the 40. So can Munster manufacture something here from this position as we're into added time, bonus territory time? Munster, remember, trailing Cast by 10 points to 6. That one pushover try by Fa'anunu, converted by Urda Paletta. The two penalties from Joey Carberry, having left 3 points on the posts from a difficult angle. 2 out of 3 for Joey Carberry so far. But it's well, it was a very good opening 20-25 minutes for Munster, but after that Castres got a foothold in the game and have come back into it very strongly. But there's been a lot of rugby played down in this half of the pitch as we look from the commentary box, and now the arm of the referee is outstretched. It's scrum time, penalty coming here if there's nothing further. Brilliant from Murray. Scannell strongly up to 5 metres. Munster on the surge here. Will they go in ahead at half time if they can find their way across the try line for the first time this evening? Tadhg Byrne into contact. He was hit pretty hard by 2 or 3 Cast players. Another fresh penalty coming as the ball is slow to come back to Conor Murray. Cast out of that defensive line very, very quickly. I think it's CJ Stander who's got his hands on it. He's helped out by Billy Holland. Murray imploring the ball to come back into his grasp. There's another hand, and there may be a card here. There may well be a yellow card. 3 infringements in the red zone in the space of 2 minutes, and then there's a little bit of shenanigans off the ball. I was watching Wayne Barnes, who seems to have his left hand on his chest pocket to indicate a yellow card, and it is. So Cast will go down to 14. Was there something that happened off the ball that incensed the Cast support? I think Conor Murray just went to try and collect the ball, and they've taken that quickly. You can't take your eyes off this. Cast down to 14. Munster over the 40 minutes on the 5 metre line. Tap and go from the penalty. So we don't even have time to relook at the infringement or see what happened. Oh, there's been a penalty to Cast now as Munster surged forward. Tadhg Byrne and John Ryan into contact, but Cast resourcing the ruck with 2 or 3 big poachers, and they have turned that over. So we've seen on the last 2 occasions that Munster come down to 5, 6, 7 metres shy of the try line. Cast have turned the ball over. I haven't even seen who it was. There was sin bin as we were just following the play from the top penalty. Jeremy probably saw it. The whistle goes as the ball goes into touch. What a frantic final 2 minutes. So much to talk about, but it'll be Cast who lead at half time here at the Pierre-Fabre by 10 points to 6.
Yes, very disappointing there. Munster up the pace again. They've got really quick breakdown, good quick ball, a lot of enterprise, ambitious trying to get that try, and they've just got turned over against 14 men 5 metres from the line, which is disappointing going in at half time, down 10 points to 6.
Well, they will play the opening 9 minutes or thereabouts of the second half with a man disadvantage, but they have the advantage on the scoreboard and on the balance of play. It's been a really, really good performance from Castres. They've upped the tempo and the tenacity and the physicality, as we knew they would, in front of their vociferous home crowd. And as we hand you back to Nathan, it's Castres, the French champions, who lead Munster by 10 points to 6 at half time.
Great stuff, lads. So set up beautifully for the second half in France, where Castres lead Munster by 10 points to 6. But at the Aviva Stadium, Leinster have the bonus point in the bag already. They're taking on Bath. Andy Dunn has been watching. Andy, talk us through the first half. 21-10 at the break, is it?
It's 28-10.
28-10.
Leinster secured the bonus 2 minutes before the half ended. And very deservedly so. They've been far more clinical, far more creative than Bath. Bath they've certainly not lacked industry, and they've taken a physical game to Leinster, but they're nowhere near as clinical. When they have the ball in possession inside the Leinster half, I suppose they look cumbersome. They are struggling to make any line breaks, and they're very physically look like they're wearing themselves down. Leinster, on the other hand, have looked exceptionally dangerous in counter-attack. Despite scoring 4 brilliantly taken tries, all very different in style, they've also left 2 tries of begging that arguably could have gone down in history as 2 of the all-time great counter-attacking tries from deep within their own territory. One was sparked by an intercept from Jack Conan, again that hard press in the Leinster defence, their line speed creating pressure for Bath, and as Conan intercepted, carried, offloaded to Sexton. There was 2 or 3 very intricate little passing plays between them two, and Sexton managed to sneak around a corner on halfway line and rubber kick the ball diagonally 45 metres to Adam Byrne, who was chasing the ball, unfortunately beating Byrne, just getting to the touchline ahead of him, and otherwise it would have been a 100-metre score with 7 or 8 offloads. So Larmour at fullback has sparked 2 or 3 clean line breaks, beautiful footwork, and again has prompted Leinster's attack and been so dangerous throughout. They're very much deservedly 28-10 ahead. They look really, really strong, and the only thing that may change now is the very fair and gentle Storm Deirdre looks to be picking up. The wind has picked up at half time, and the rain has started to sheet down a little, but the first 40 minutes was quite dry and without wind.
And by the sounds of what you're saying, the freshness that Leinster have added to the team has made a huge impact. You just have to look at the scorers: Conan, O'Loughlin, Byrne amongst the tries in the first half.
Yeah, and great to see it too. We spoke just before the game, Nathan, about the question marks over Larmour as a strategic fullback. But you don't need too much strategy when you've got a guy who can carry like he does. He's probably beaten about 7 or 8 defenders on his own in that half. He's sparked Leinster's attack from deep. He's come into the line off set piece plays, and he's looked really, really sharp. Conan similarly has probably a bit slighted from his omission last week behind Dan Levy at number 8 last week. Conan's looked really, really strong, very, very busy, a lot of contributions around the field and very high work rate. I was delighted also to see Adam Byrne getting over for a try. He hasn't been in the side much, and he took his try beautifully. It was a cross-field kick from Sexton, very close to the Bath touchline, but went literally from one side of the field to the other, and a one-on-one high ball situation. Byrne was imperious, probably at least a metre higher than the Bath fullback, to catch that ball cleanly, land on his feet and jog around in under the post. Showed true athleticism and a great score.
Alright, good stuff, Andy. So Leinster in control there at the Aviva Stadium, leading by 28 points to 10 at half time against Bath. They have the bonus point secured already, but it's a hell of a lot tighter in France, where Castres lead Munster by 10 points to 6 at half time, though Castres are going to play the opening 10 minutes of the second half with just 14 men. Set up beautifully for our commentary. We'll take a quick break.
Castres v Munster, live from Stade Pierre-Fabre.
On Off the Ball. Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Coming up this week, we have the ultimate gaming gift guide. If you're considering buying a game for a loved one or planning to ask Santa for a console, we'll talk through what you need to know. We'll review some of the biggest titles of the year and tell you where you'll find the best value.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Thanks to Harvey Norman.
Download the podcast now or tune in Sunday at 6.
On News Talk.
Be safe this winter. Give yourself the best chance when driving in winter conditions by checking your tyres are the correct pressure. And make sure they're changed before they reach the minimum legal tread depth of 1.6 millimetres. Motor Tips, brought to you by Volkswagen Service. Book a service online at Volkswagen.ie.
Discover the Samsung laundry range at Power City. Half the time on laundry, more time for you with Samsung's innovative quick drive technology. For more information, go to powercity.ie or call in store today.
Sometimes, when you're in Kildare Village, you find something you just can't say no to. Not just because it's from a fabulous brand like All Saints or June London, or it's the perfect size, or the perfect cut, or the perfect colour. It's because it's got 70% off during further reductions at Kildare Village. Who could say no to that? Further reductions at Kildare Village with up to 70% off right now. Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, Christmas festival is nigh. 'Tis the place that makes you jolly, 7th grade ones to make you sigh. Hear the famous festive cheer, join your friends from near and far, and thereof the chorus rises, let the festivities begin.
Leopardstown Christmas Festival, 26th to 29th of December. Tickets on leopardstown.com.
Give the gift of experiences this Christmas with vouchers from Trump Doombeg. Gift award-winning dining with views of rolling Atlantic waves, luxurious stays and suites with roaring open fires, Championship Links golf on the wild Atlantic Way. Gift experiences by the ocean. Visit trumphotels.com/Ireland.
A white-bearded man in a red suit flying through the sky at night. Smiling faces, a roasting fire, and the Christmas decorations back where they should be, on the Christmas tree. Is there a more magical time of the year? And is there a more magical sandwich than that turkey and stuffing sandwich on a Christmas night? All together now.
Johnston's Mooney and O'Brien for your favourite fresh baked bread.
This Christmas, there's history in the baking.
Imagine if all your Christmas was handcrafted by Avoca. Imagine every deliciously home-baked mince pie with its own hand-cut star, and every yummy hand-glazed ham and famous hand-packed hamper. Every fabulous hand-decorated cake and hand-picked gift, without you having to lift a finger. So whatever your festive dream, our butchers and bakers, our foodies and fashionistas make it easy with the finest of fare to surprise and delight. Here's to a happy Christmas. Handmade by Avoca.
I'm Alex Dunn from Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. I have just returned from Yemen, where conflict has torn the country apart. It's also decimated the health system, leaving many in urgent need of care. MSF is treating the wounded and fighting disease on both sides of the front line. But we need your help. Please make an urgent donation today. Free phone 1-800-905-509. That's 1-800-905-509. Or visit msf.ie. Thank you.
It's the twinkling lights as you stroll down Grafton Street. The buzz of shopping for that perfect Christmas gift. It's that festive feeling you only get in the Grafton Quarter. Dublin's premium Christmas shopping district. Home to the biggest brands, entertainment and great places to enjoy delicious food and drinks. The Grafton Quarter really is a winter wonderland. Discover the magic and plan your Christmas visit at graftonquarter.ie.
Mattresses-delivered.ie. Nationwide delivery within 48 hours for free. That's mattresses-delivered.ie. Lowest prices guaranteed. Don't forget the hyphen. T's and C's apply.
Cook the perfect roast this Christmas with a new Whirlpool Absolute Oven. Boasting a 73-litre capacity, intuitive preset cooking options and a self-cleaning function, you'll be able to cook with confidence. For more information and a full demonstration, call to Power City today.
Castres v Munster, live from Stade Pierre-Fabre.
On Off the Ball.
Wayne Barnes goes around the far side. There's a drive on. Barnes has a look. Now, have they scored? The referee is right there. We've seen 3 or 4 replays of Castres driving over the line, and Wayne Barnes has seen enough with the television match official, who is Rowan Kitt from England. And we have the first try of the evening, and it goes to the French champions. Tadhg Beirne was doing his level best as he was carried over that line to rip it clear, but he couldn't do it. And it is a try to the French champions.
Yeah, Fananu's try on 23 minutes has the French champions leading Munster by 10 points to 6 in the Heineken Champions Cup. That would make it very, very interesting in Pool 2, where it's very tight if Castres could beat Munster, but a long way to go, and Castres will start the second half with just 14 men. Rory Cockett yellow carded just before half time. A second half commentary to come very shortly on that game with Jeremy Davidson and Conor Morris. A lot more straightforward for Leinster. They lead Bath by 28 points to 10. 4 tries so far from Jack Conan, O'Loughlin Lowe and Byrne with tries in the first half, so a bonus point already secured. Andy Dunn's at that game. A lot more to come from him as well. Shane Hannon's in studio running us down through everything else that's happening.
Yeah, we'll start with soccer. Nathan, Gabriel Jesus struck twice and Raheem Sterling was also on target as Manchester City beat Everton 3-1 earlier to move top of the Premier League for 24 hours at least. Sub Christian Eriksen's injury time goal helped Tottenham win 1-0 against Burnley at Wembley. That keeps pressure on the top two. Solomon Rondon's strike secured Newcastle's first victory in 4 matches as they won 1-0 at Huddersfield Town, who have now lost 4 in a row. Watford withstood a late rally from Cardiff to end a 6-match winless run with a 3-2 victory at Vicarage Road. Crystal Palace secured their first league victory without Wilfried Zaha in over 2 years, defeating Leicester 1-0. Raúl Jiménez's 5th goal of the season helped Wolves get a 2-0 victory over Bournemouth. And Fulham West Ham is the evening game. It was 2-0 last I checked, I think, to West Ham in that one.
Yeah, West Ham leading 2-0 at half time.
Kilmarnock are the new leaders of the Scottish Premiership. Meanwhile, they went to the top of the table with a 3-1 win over Dundee. Boxing next, Katie Taylor defends her WBA and IBF lightweight boxing titles in one of boxing's most historic venues tonight. The former Olympic champion takes on Finland's Eva Wallström. That is at Madison Square Gardens in New York. Some snooker as well. Mark Allen is into tomorrow's Scottish Open final. The Antrim man battled back from 4-0 down to defeat Daniel Wells by 6 frames to 5. Allen awaits the winner of this evening's second semi-final between Sean Murphy and Judd Trump. To racing, the new one has been retired after pulling up in the Unibet International Hurdle at Cheltenham. Bidding for a 4th victory in the race, he faded and was pulled up by Sam Twiston-Davies before the final flight. Trainer Nigel Twiston-Davies says it's a very sad day, but admits the popular veteran no longer has the legs. Nicky Henderson's decision to switch brainpower back from fences paid off as he claimed victory. There was a bit of GAA action as well today. Kildare gained a modest measure of revenge for their championship defeat to Carlow in the summer with a 7-point win over the same opponents in the Bordnamona O'Byrne Cup. That was one of just 2 O'Byrne Cup games scheduled for today that survived Storm Deirdre. Meath Longford in Ashburn was the other game. It got underway at 5 o'clock. There's currently, what's the latest score? Meath 1-5, Longford 9 points. So Longford currently a point up in that one. There was action in the Dr. McKenna Cup in Ulster as well today. Ulster University claimed a 12 points to 1-9 draw against Fermanagh with the last 5 scores of the game in the opening fixture of the Dr. McKenna Cup. Fermanagh had led by 3 points, 8-5 at half time, and when Conal Jones's goal put the hosts 6 clear upon the resumption, a win for Rory Gallagher's side looked inevitable, but Ulster University came back to earn a very admirable draw there. Just some other rugby scores from around the continent. The European Champions Cup, so we've mentioned Castres 10, Munster 6, Leinster 28, Bath 10. Stade Toulouse 42, Wasps 27 is a full-time score, as is Cardiff Blues 14, Saracens 26, and Glasgow Warriors 21, Lyon 10. And in the European Challenge Cup, Zebre 58, NSI 14, Worcester Warriors 23, Pau 7 is another result, as is Sale Sharks 14, Bordeaux 17, Harlequins 20, Benetton Treviso 9, Clermont Auvergne 49, Dragons 24. Nathan.
Alright, thanks a lot for that, Shane. Just getting underway at the Aviva for the second half, where Leinster lead Bath 28-10. Andy Dunn will keep us up to date with that. But let's get back over to France, because it is Castres leading Munster by 10 points to 6. Jeremy Davidson and Conor Morris are our commentary team.
Thank you very much, Shane. Indeed, Nathan, as you said at the outset, at half time, they're very, very delicately poised for what promises to be a fascinating second 40 minutes, because it's anyone's game here at the Pierre-Fabre. The home fans are on their feet, having their liquid at half time, mostly coffee, 1 or 2 beers on. It's a cold night, cold wet night, but they seem pretty happy, and their team really, based on what we saw last week at Thomond Park in Limerick, have been much improved. But yeah, we knew, Jeremy, they would be. They've got their noses in front courtesy of that try, but that's indiscipline that we spoke about from last week when they conceded 13 penalties. Rory Cockett's been sent to the bin. If he was a little bit less obvious, more inconspicuous with it, I mean, he's basically slapped the ball out of Conor Murray's hands when Munster are right on the 5 metre line. It's 3 penalties in the space of 2 or 3 minutes, 4 or 5 phases right inside the 22. You're not going to get away with that with Wayne Barnes.
Definitely not. You know, he's going to see all of those little intricate details. It'll be interesting to see if Castres can sit this out. It's 9 minutes at 14. The weather conditions are getting better here. The conditions are a bit better to play. Munster 15 against 14. Are they going to up the intensity? Are they going to be able to keep the ball in hand and make them pay? Because those 4 points, they can catch them up quite quickly.
A couple of changes to tell you about in due course as we await the restart of the second half, which is going to be taken by Castres. Looking across on that far side, I can see the considerable bulk of Wilfred Houkpatin, who Jeremy told me at half-time may well come in. So it looks as though he's in, and Antoine Tichit has also come in. Remember, they're restarting without their scrum half, who is in the bin and will be for some 8 or 9 minutes of this second half. But it's Castres that get us back underway then in the second half in France. Heineken European Champions Cup rugby live on Off the Ball this Saturday evening, and it's Castres who lead. The French champions 10-6 in front of Munster as we restart for the second period. Can Munster seize the advantage, the numerical advantage, in the opening stages of the second half?
Yeah, Munster haven't taken any risk there, just clinical, getting out of their half. Really good clearance, and they're back up the halfway line.
Line out ball for them, and taken by Kevin Fearman, and he found his jumper at the tail of the line, who was the line-out specialist that Jeremy spoke about in the first half, Yannick Caballero, wearing number 6 tonight. Complete change in the back row and the front row from last week. We've had further changes now tonight in this second half in the front row, as Tadhg Byrne is put on his backside around the fringes of that Castres maul over on the far side. They've managed to make a few metres up as far as the Munster 10-metre line, and the ball is ready to be played from the base of that scrummage, and they just move it 2 metres to the right hand side into the waiting arms of 2 or 3 forwards who are shoulder to shoulder. And I think it was the Houkpatin, one of the replacements, just knocks that ball forward. He was having a little look in his peripheral vision rather, to see where the Munster contact was going to come from, took his eyes off it and knocked it forward.
Well, that was an intelligent play from Castres, just keeping the ball in that maul there. 14 against 15, obviously. Try and keep the ball away from Munster and play down the clock. Be interesting to see how William Houkpatin and Antoine Tichit change the course of this scrum. Munster obviously winning 3 penalties in the first half, so we'll see if they can put them to the sword.
So the front rows ready themselves. The last time Munster were here, they drew 17 points apiece, and it's that tight, you feel, here again this evening. It really could go either way, and as we keep saying, Pool 2 in the Champions Cup this season will go right to the wire. You can be fairly sure of that. It is all there for Munster this evening to try and seize the advantage, an advantage which was helped last night at Kingsholm when Gloucester overturned last week's result against Exeter. Went to Gloucester and got a result. Not sure too many people saw that coming, but that has turned the pool back in Munster's favour. If they can get a result here tonight, now the noise will tell you there's another scrum and a potential flashpoint. Well, the ball's been taken away by Conor Murray at the base of it as it came through the feet of CJ Stander. It's been kicked downfield, and now the kick return is back into the Munster 22, into the arms of the Munster fullback Mike Healy, and he thumps one downfield in a central position where it's picked out by Taylor Paris and given away to Urda Paletta, who fires one off his left foot over to the Munster right hand side into the arms of Andrew Conway, who just drills one down the tram lines. That's a pretty good kick return from the Munster winger, because it's forced Castres all the way back to 5 metres, and the kick return is to Healy once more. No touch fine from the Castres player on that occasion, and Carberry gets it away to Keith Earls, who ran straight into Tadhg Byrne, and the decision goes the way of the French champions, and it was fairly obvious right in front of Wayne Barnes, and it was a little bit loose from Munster on that occasion.
Yes, we can see the Castres dominance of scrum again, and just not getting the favour of the referee again, putting them under pressure, and Munster not having a very good platform there from the scrum. Going into a bit of kick tennis, and Munster have come out second best, with Castres getting the scrum.
It was interesting to listen to some of the comments during the week from Johan van Graan and others, and van Graan in particular talking about the fool's gold of overplaying against Castres here in France. And certainly, as Jeremy was describing in their purple patch in the opening 20 minutes of this game, that's exactly what they didn't do. They dominated territory and possession. They used the boot to good effect. Leinster were leading 28-10 at half-time against Bath at the Aviva. Let's go back there and see if that has changed.
After 46 minutes, it's Leinster 35, Bath 10. Leinster getting their 5th try of the game. Again, probably started way back on the Leinster try line from a Bath attacking error. The ball was spilled and Leinster went almost the length of the field. Held possession down in the Bath 22, and from a line out after multiple phases, James Ryan broke 2 defenders' tackles. There was a lovely little disguised pass from Luke McGrath to Devon Toner, who made an extra yard or two, and then finally Dan Levy carried over the line from 1 metre out. Leinster 35, Bath 10 after 47 minutes.
Don't have quite as many tries here in France, but we do have another Munster penalty from a scrum. I make that 4 that Wayne Barnes has given in Munster's favour. And once again, as he was indicating which way the penalty was going, the Castres supporters all around the press box here were up on their feet, shaking their heads and waving their arms. They felt not only was it generous, but that it might even have gone the other way. As it stands, from on his own 10-metre line, right in front of the posts, Carberry strikes, and as he hoiked that one a little bit to the left, yeah, he's missed the target. So he's left a couple of those on the post, Joey Carberry. That was well within his range, and he will be bitterly disappointed not to have narrowed the margin. Castres continue to lead by 10 points to 6. The 14 of Castres, remember, Rory Cockett is still in the sin bin. We've played 6 minutes of the second period, and that is an opportunity gone a-begging for this Munster team, having been given the penalty at scrum time.
Yeah, discipline will be very, very important tonight, and all the points that are scored from penalties. Obviously, Castres have the advantage there because they've got Scott Spedding, who can kick from a long distance. They've got Cockett, who's very, very proficient from long distance as well. So could make it interesting moving forward with the miss from Carberry.
Very tight game, 4-point game as Munster claim the restart, and they look to carry into Castres territory where their open side flanker Chris Klutze. There's a pile of bodies in there. One of them was in black with 4 on his back, Thibaut Lasselle, who thought he turned the ball over legally while supporting his own body weight. The referee saw it otherwise, and it's another Munster penalty.
That's a silly, silly penalty to be given away, and just lets Munster kick into the corner here and play down in their half and keep the pressure on Castres moving forward.
And he's done well there, Joey Carberry. We recall in the latter stages of the first half, over on that far side, where he had a penalty and tried to just nibble a little bit too much off it and didn't find touch. This time he has brought play into the 22, and it's going to give Niall Scannell an opportunity to hit his jumpers at line-out time here. 7 minutes gone in the second half in Castres, and they lead the French champions Munster by 10 points to 6. On it's a line-out steal, and a really, really good one. And it's that man, Yannick Caballero, who was up. They got obviously had factored what they were going to do defensively, got their lift right, their jump right, and that's a really good steal. Turnover ball at line-out time as Munster came looking inside the Castres 22. And it's all these little flash points that are making this a very, very interesting and intriguing contest. It's a little bit of an arm wrestle, sure, but it's very interesting. Conor Murray trying to make life difficult for Spedding at fullback to get his kick away, but he just feinted with his shoulder, manufactured a couple of metres, and he got his kick away. Good play from the fullback.
Yeah, there's been some key moments in this game so far where Munster just haven't been precise enough, and Castres have shown great mental toughness. The steal by Mathieu Babillot on the ground, the counter ruck just before half time, and there we see a great piece of play from Yannick Caballero, reading the line out and just denying possession from Munster.
And they're troubling Munster enough at line out time for the Munster packer forwards to go into a huddle and just make sure they've got the communication right here. There's a little bit of a feint there from Peter O'Mahony at 2 in the line, and then he was lifted, got up quickly, got down quickly, he was taken in the air, and it's a Munster penalty, or at least that is the view of Wayne Barnes. You can hear cries of derision once again from all around us, and the French supporters unhappy with the English referee.
Looking forward to Castres defending this line out once again, and if they manage to defend this next phase of play, they've weathered the storm very well at 14 men. Rory Cockett coming back on shortly.
In the meantime, Peter O'Mahony is hobbling around on that right ankle just as he snatched the line out and came back to ground. He may have gone over on it, but he's going to... Well, that's a really good kick again from Joey Carberry now from a similar position, but he's pinched an extra 5 or 6, 7 metres. Munster have gone all the way down, just 7 metres short of that cast try line now for Niall Scannell to try and hit his jumpers in the line. Just looking at Peter O'Mahony here, he seems to be okay. So it's back to 15 aside as Rory Cockett comes back into the fray as we await this delivery from touch for Niall Scannell. They go ambitiously all the way to the back and they've mixed it up and found CJ Stander, I think it is, on this occasion, and they try and get that maul going, and there's a decent shape about it. They're only 7 metres out from the cast try line. Now they go to ground. Out goes the arm of the referee. Conor Murray tried to kick one in behind. There's a penalty coming here from Munster because there's going to be no advantage, and again it's an infringement inside the cast 22, right in front of the English referee Wayne Barnes.
Yes, that was a perfectly constructed maul, nice and long, nice and thin, well defended by Castres, and just unfortunate that kick didn't go through into the dead ball area for the winger to chase, but thankfully a penalty coming from it.
Yes, Conor Murray with the advantage, just trying to get his little grubber kick through, but it came back off the shins of a Cast player, and had it made its way through, there was an opportunity potentially for Keith Earls on this left hand side. Now this is a key moment in the game. We've played 10 minutes of the second half, we're back to 15 aside. Joey Carberry has missed one very kickable kick already in this second half, and this one is or it should be, very straightforward. As Jeremy said, the rain has relented. He's inside the Cast 22. He's about 10 or 12 metres to the left of the upright, so for a right-footed kicker this should be meat and drink. Carberry steps and he strikes and he splits this right between the uprights, and Munster have their first points for what seems like a very long time. They have the first score of the second half, and as we've played 51 and a half minutes in France, it's Cast 10, Munster 9.
Munster will be really happy to still be in this game at 10-9. 30 minutes left. They can be clinical. They'll exit their half, put the pressure back on the Castres, and hopefully be able to stay in the length.
No sign of any activity just as yet on that Munster bench. So the restart kick has gone forward off a Cast hand, and it's with Sammy Arnold, ball in hand inside that Munster 22, takes it up to the edge of the 22 and just beyond, and Conor Murray comes in. CJ Stander gives him a little bit of protection. Billy Holland is there too to put his body in the way of a would-be blocker, and Murray kicks downfield to that man Spetty. Can't really make any headway because CJ Stander and John Ryan are right in front of him. Cockett back in harness now, he tries to get his Cast teammates moving. They're on halfway, right in the centre of the pitch, and Cockett now goes with the boot, the left boot, and tries to play a little bit of territory, just turns Munster around and kicks into touch with the aid of a couple of points inside that Munster 22.
Good exit from Munster, great defensive line, and excellently read by Rory Cockett, just putting that ball in behind, into the space and turning the pressure on Munster.
Remember, Munster came into this match having played 3 games, top of the pool on 11 points and 3 points ahead of Gloucester and Exeter. There's been another try at the Aviva. Let's hear about it with Andy.
It's Leinster 35, Bath 15. Bath finally rewarded for some of their physicality and industry. A dominant Leinster scrum in the first half saw Bath make changes in the introduction of Nathan Catt. The watchful eye of Pascal Gauzère as referee has penalised Leinster on 2 occasions in this second half, and from a scrum penalty on the halfway line, a long raking touch find from James Wilson set up Bath for a driven line out and a score by Sam Underhill. Makes it Leinster 35, Bath 15 after 54 minutes.
Sam Underhill was excellent in the game at the Rec last week, and Munster have executed pretty well from that line-out. It was a good contest. Tagburn took it at number 2. There was a jumper right in front of him, might well have been Caballero, but the kick downfield took Munster into the Cast half of the pitch, and the Cast line-out has gone to hand, and this time they get a penalty. at ruck time. So Wayne Barnes is doing his level best to ingratiate himself to the local support. He's a long way to go, having given, 4 or 5 scrum penalties, but it's a cast penalty right on halfway. Interesting to see will they go for a shot at goal here. As you said, they do have the arsenal in that team to try and kick from that kind of range.
Yes, Castres quite ambitious there, throwing back to the 15, setting up a maul, and Munster unfortunately having to give away a penalty to bring that down.
Well, they're not going to go for a shot at goal. They're going to hammer this down into the Munster 22 and try and get that offensive line out working. 10 points to 9. We've played almost 15 minutes of the second half, and we're going to see the first change of the evening for Munster, because Arno Botha is coming in, and it's going to be Chris Klutze who goes off. Exchange of South Africans. Arno Botha has been exceptional this season when called upon. He's scored a couple of tries, and he signed a new contract, of course, brought in initially for a 1-year contract, and was his hand raised there on that cast line out to turn that over, because Munster have turned it over and kicked a touch. They're still inside their 22, but that was good work. Instant impact.
Yeah, look, stealing possession in the 22 on a key moment, and wonderful clearance kick from Peter O'Mahony. Didn't realise that he had that up his sleeve.
It was indeed the arm of Arno Botha that won that line out, but Castres have won the line out that has ensued from Peter O'Mahony's touch find over on that far side. One of the replacement prop forwards has lost his shorts, or almost, and the outstretched arm of Wayne Barnes is indicating Munster player in from the side on that driving maul, and it's a cast penalty, and it's a yellow card, and it's Niall Scannell who's going to spend 10 minutes in the bin. It's heating up nicely here.
Yes, this is exactly what Munster didn't want to do. Give them the opportunity to have a maul and get their forwards, those big heavy forwards, into the game and take them on in that aggressive area of the maul, 15 metres from the line. So unfortunately, yellow card, that just gives them a boost moving forward with 25 minutes left.
It is very much in the balance as we just look over to the far side and have a little reminder of that indiscretion at maul time from Niall Scannell. Clear penalty, and the referee seen fit to sanction further and issue a yellow card. So from 25 metres out, just inside the 15 metre line over on that far left hand side, great opportunity here for Benjamin Erdepaleta to just extend the cast advantage. By no means a gimme in these conditions. He takes his time and he strikes left footed, and the crowd like it, and the touch judges like it, and their flags go up, and it's back to a 4-point game. Castres lead Munster by 13 points to 9, and we're in the 57th minute in France on off the ball.
I think moving forward, it's very important that Munster try and slow down the clock here as much as possible for the next 9.5 minutes. Get them back to 15. Play down in the Munster in the Castres half, and try and get some more points on the board.
Carberry restarts high and long over to that far side, dropping 23 metres out, and the high ball is well claimed. And then it's there for Cockett. And that's a good carry. I think it was Kevin Furman making 4 or 5 metres, taking Castres outside their 22, and the drum beat away to our right hand side from the supporters behind the goal. A little bit more in evidence now. 4 points is the advantage. 57.5 minutes in here. Castres, remember, abject as they lost 30 points to 5 last week in Limerick. It's been a vastly improved display in every facet of the game. David Kilcoyne, who's carried a huge amount of ball tonight, does so again. Now it's the turn of the tight head prop John Ryan as Munster make their way up to halfway, and they get the ball into the hands of Sammy Arnold, now a fully capped Test international for Ireland over the November series. Ball's not out, and Cockott comes through on Conor Murray, who used all his experience just to look at the referee and decide, if I stay here, stand my ground, it's another penalty, and he has the decision. It is a Munster penalty.
Well, Munster have been very, very clinical in the reception of the Castres exits tonight. That was a contestable ball in the air, well well caught by Munster, well recycled, 3 phases, and Castres in discipline creeping in again, so it's an opportunity to go for points.
And it's going to be Conor Murray who puts the ball on the kicking tee here. He is just 1 metre inside the cast half of the pitch from a fairly central area, and he obviously feels that this is within his compass. He can take a little bit of the responsibility off Joey Carberry, who, remember, tonight so far he's missed a couple.
The weather conditions have certainly helped, and this is well within his range, directly in front of the post.
And we've seen him do this with increasing regularity, I think it's fair to say, in the red of Munster, and indeed when needs must in the green of Ireland. He spends an awful lot of time perfecting this particular skill, Conor Murray. As we approach the 60-minute mark, he's given that a decent strike. It just didn't quite have the legs, it didn't have the accuracy either. Just pushed it no more than a couple of feet to the right hand side of the uprights. Don't think it would have carried anyway. A raft of changes coming in now for Castres. He's going to change the scrum half and fly half, and there's another change in the pack of forwards as well. Everson is coming in, Armand Batil too, and Rado Saveljevic. So a missed opportunity for Conor Murray, but Castres get us back underway as they kick downfield to Keith Earls, and he feeds it inside to Joey Carberry, who sets the up and under into the Castres half, and it drops. Spinning ball on the 10-metre line. It was put to ground by a Castres player and knocked on in the process, and we will restart with a Munster put into the scrum. There was a tackle going in, a very hefty one at that, on Joey Carberry as well.
Hopefully these conditions will help Munster move around the Castres forwards and up the intensity moving forward in the last 20 minutes of this game.
Yeah, the game just for the moment lacking that real intensity that it had in the opening 20 minutes when both sides showed plenty of ambition, albeit in more difficult conditions than we have at the moment. To try and throw the ball around, Kevin O'Byrne is into the centre of that Munster scrummage, as he has to be. No Niall Scannell, who's got, I think, about 7.5 minutes of his sin bin sanction still to serve. So in the meantime, Arno Botha has gone back off, and Munster are going to put Sammy Arnold into this scrummage.
Very important scrum moving forward.
It's moving a lot before the referees even call the engagement, nor Conor Murray can feed the ball in, so he's just going to ask them to reset. Still that 4-point advantage as we tick into the final quarter of the game, and a crucial 20 minutes in the context and complexities of this Pool 2 in the Heineken European Cup as to how it will go and just how difficult or otherwise the last 2 games are in Munster's group. You would fancy them against Exeter and Gloucester over the last couple of games, but and again Conor Murray didn't get the chance to feed the ball into the scrum. Castres were moving forward, and referee indicates free kick, and Munster now are quickly on with it, and Tadhg Byrne has it on the Castres 10-metre line. It's there for Murray, and now Carberry. There was no way through for Carberry on the left-hand side. They were out of that defensive line, Castres, pretty quickly, and then Carberry was absolutely smashed in the tackle, and the ball is there for Castres, and they've turned it over, and they've kicked it downfield, but only as far as Keith Earls, and we haven't seen him with ball in hand, and he almost gets away from the challenge. Good tackle though by Laveau in the end, as Earls was forced to offload it infield to his captain Peter O'Mahony, and Munster get moving again with Tadhg Byrne. They're almost up to halfway, and Murray feeds Carberry, and he tries to play for a little bit of territory. He's measured his kick down into the 22. The kick chase is on from Andrew Conway. That was a tricky one to try and pick up, and Castres aside through their full back to put through to ball and bring play almost back up to halfway.
Excellent bit of play from Munster there, just keeping the ball through several phases. Then the position in behind, opened up for the deep attacking kick. Great work rate from the forwards, excellent defensive line, put them under pressure and get a line out in the Castres half.
Yeah, he showed quickly up there, Andrew Conway, a player who's been in superb form this season. As we see another couple of changes coming in for Munster, Stephen Archer is going to replace John Ryan. As we await Niall Scannell's throw, and Munster again taking their time to organise their line-out. Belatedly, O'Mahony and Holland and Tadhg take their positions, and they go to the captain again, Peter O'Mahony, who collects it with little fuss, collects it well. And Murray waits. Carberry as ever to his right. They go to Rory Scannell at second receiver, and he goes into contact on halfway. Murray had to work pretty hard to dig that one out. Now Carberry, he took that one a little bit static and a little bit flat. I'm not sure he was expecting it, and that Munster just dink it through into Castres territory, but they're a little bit bereft of ideas with ball in hand a couple of times tonight, which will be a concern. Castres player had it, he juggled with it, and he had his pocket picked by Tadhg, I think, and that's turnover ball for Munster. The big second row was alive to that little juggle. Now O'Mahony got his hands on it. He worked it wide to Andrew Conway. We're 5 metres shy of the Castres 22 over on that far right hand side from a Munster point of view, and they carry ball almost up to the 22. It was Mike Healy, the full-back, in playing scrum half just for a moment, and he's still in that position. Can't quite see on the field of play where Conor Murray is at this moment in time. He's coming across to join the base of the latest ruck now as Munster pick and jam around the corner. Murray's back in situ. He's got plenty of numbers to his right hand side. There's Castres players doing their best at ruck time to try and make that slow ball, and it is slow ball, but it's another penalty. So Murray has a little bit of a look, and Joey Carberry decides to hoist one into the sky. Shot to nothing. The chase coming up again from Scannell and Conway. The kick wasn't brilliant from Carberry, but not rolling away. Munster penalty.
Very intelligent play there. Opportunist steal from Tadhg, and then direct attritional, clinical at the breakdown. Great work from the forwards, getting back on their feet, being available, and just indiscipline again from Castres creeping in, which allows the penalty straight in front of the post.
Niall Scannell is back on his feet beneath us. He will be reintroduced very, very shortly, and Munster will be restored to their full complement of 15. They trail, remember, by 13 points to 9, but any second now Joey Carberry will try and reduce the arrears to a single point. 15 minutes to go, a very, very important 15 minutes in this pool in the Heineken European Cup. Joey Carberry is poised and ready to try and deliver the 3 points with his right foot. He's only 24 metres out. He is dead straight in front of the Castres uprights, and he strikes right-footed, and he kicks it dead straight between those uprights, and Munster have their 3 points, and the deficit is reduced to a single point.
It's almost as if Munster are growing in confidence. They're playing the right strategy in the right place on the field. Joey Carberry's pulling the strings really well, varying his game, and getting back to 15 players on the field. They'll be able to try and play a bit more down there, lift it intensity, and get that penalty to try and snatch this game from the Castres team.
Change in the third change in that front row for Castres. Antoine Tichy has come in for Kevin Furman. The restart meantime has been taken by Arno Botha. Taken very well, and Munster have it inside their own 22. It's going to be a very, very interesting chess game over the course of the last 13 or 14 minutes here. It has been a strategic plan that has worked so far for Munster. They've varied their game up very, very well. Spedding's kick is missed entirely by Joey Carberry as it dropped on the Munster 10-metre line, and Castres have the ball. It bounced back off the point of the ball onto the Castres side, and now Spedding has ball in hand, and he gets it away into midfield to Fialele, and a rare chance for Castres to attack at pace in the wide channels. We haven't seen this facet of their game for what seems like a very, very long time. They did play with a lot of ambition in the opening 25 minutes. Both sides did, but it's been a little bit more of an arm wrestle in the ensuing last 40 45 minutes. The kick in behind into the Munster 22. Keith Earls goes off in chase. There's a collision off the ball and howls of penalty from around about us. I think that was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other between Niall Scannell and one of the Cast players. Didn't really get to see it. I was watching Earls retreat into the 22 to gather the ball. It's with Billy Holland now, 6 metres out from that Munster try line. Tadhg Byrne is over it, and Conor Murray just rolls his studs across the ball, and the ball is kicked clear. It doesn't find touch though. Laveau has it. Spedding. Here come Cast again from a central position this time. They switch the point of the play, and Urda Paletta tries to dink one in behind. Didn't quite measure his kick though, and that's possession kicked away because it's been marked in the 22 by Mike Healy. And he fires one down the tram lines to that far side. Really, really good kick. The fullback found his touch inside the Cast 22, and it's been taken quickly. Now, was the Cast player taken out after the ball was kicked? It's returned to Carberry. The pace is picking up now, both sets of players as well as the fans. You can hear and sense, feeling this is very much in the melting pot as we go inside the last 10 minutes. There's another collision off the ball as it's been kicked through towards Conway. Conway's up, and Conway's over the line, and Andrew Conway has scored for Munster. And there's been a little bit of nasty afters as well. So there was 1 or 2 collisions. I think Peter O'Mahony was upended 45-50 metres downfield as that passage of play was ensuing. Munster put the ball through the hands. They kicked in behind the fullback who was drawn up towards the play. Conway got off in chase. He went to ground, one-handed outstretched it seemed with his right arm. He somehow managed to gather the ball on the ground. His momentum and his impetus carried him over the line, and he dotted it down. I think we'll go upstairs to the TMO because I'm not sure that he hasn't knocked that on. The referee, Wayne Barnes, indicated a try, but we will go up to the TMO. I'm interested to see that. I'm also very interested to see exactly what went on with Peter O'Mahony, who is still receiving attention over on that far side. Then there was something that happened after the ball was grounded behind the try line.
Great patience from Munster there, building their innings, getting out of their half. Great defensive line, putting them under pressure, and then ball became available, back down the blind side, bit of a mismatch. Great play, great chip through, and well executed to slide into the dead ball area.
Well, it's a long way over to that screen on the far side. We're having a close-up angle now of the tackle. The director's cut away from the shot when O'Mahony was tackled, but we're now looking at the try, yes or no. Andrew Conway. That's probably the clearest angle we've seen of it so far, and I'm pretty sure he's knocked that on, hasn't he?
Yeah, looks by all accounts that he's had a bit of a fumble whenever he's dived on the ball there, unfortunately. The crowd are trying to get behind him.
13 points to 12. Remember, we're heading towards the last 10 minutes, and the ironic cheers and jeers of the Cast supporters as they watch the replay. And it's the television match official Rowan Kitt who's got a big decision to make here. Wayne Barnes and his touch judges are in front of the post watching it as well. I just wonder, are they looking at the potential foul play as we look at that collision involving, or was it Billy Holland? In fact, it all happened so quickly, and we haven't seen a clear replay of the incident which happened off the ball. So the referee is talking to the open side flanker for Cast. Meantime, it is no try, if my French is up to speed, Jeremy. Pas d'essai, no try, says the TMO. So yeah, there's going to be a card here. Yes, and it is a yellow card for Mathieu Babayo for that off-the-ball tackle.
Unfortunate knock on there, but a yellow card and possession back to Munster means that the last 10 minutes they can turn up the pressure here. 1 point in it. Just get down there and keep the pressure on. Castres and discipline should come through.
And so we're looking at the collision again Yeah, it's Peter O'Mahony. Babio runs into him, and O'Mahony just kind of tumbles over his back. But the picture that it gives the referee is not a good one. It is dangerous, and he does fall on that shoulder neck area. So it is no try. It was a brilliant kick through from Andrew Conway. It was a superb chase. He did his level best to try and gather it at full tilt on the ground and ground it beyond the try line, but he knocked it forward in the process of so doing. The referee quite rightly then has brought play back for the penalty, which has been accrued from that yellow card, which will see Castres play out almost the final 10 minutes of this game with 14 players. Big advantage now to Munster, and it certainly will be if they can get their noses back in front with this Joey Carberry penalty. It is a long way out. It's also a way over on that far right hand side, a very tricky angle, and this will test his full repertoire of skills from the kicking tee here, Joey Carberry. 70 minutes on the watch in France. Live European Champions Rugby on Off the Ball this Saturday night, and Munster up against the French League champions at the Pierre-Fabre, and this game is very much on a knife edge. It's Castres who lead by 13 points to 12, but Joey Carberry is poised and ready, and he strikes, and that looks a little bit to the right hand side. He couldn't quite bring it around to the right hand side. He certainly had the distance. He connected very well. He just couldn't quite measure it. It remains a 1 point game in favour of the French side.
That's very disappointing. Missed from the tee. Obviously Munster have employed the perfect strategy tonight. They've backed their defence, they've got off the line, they've used the weather conditions perfectly. Conor Murray's kicked really efficiently from their own half. They've kept the pressure on Castres, and they're still in this game with 9 minutes to go.
Well, they trail by a point. They've left 9 points on the post with those 3 missed penalty attempts. 1 from Conor Murray, a couple from Joey Carberry. And remember, of course, last week, the man sitting on the bench tonight in France, JJ Hanrahan, kicked 3 penalties, 3 conversions and scored a try. And he hasn't yet had a look in, but it is all still here to play for. A little over 8 minutes to go, and it's Joey Carberry under that high ball. He had to juggle it, but he got it at the second attempt, and he feeds it inside to his fullback, Mike Healy. And Munster have the ball on their own 10-metre line with Tadhg Byrne and Carberry and CJ Stander now, and he sizes up the opposition and he runs straight and true at Babayo, and it's there for Conor Murray, and he gets it away to Scannell. In goes Stephen Archer, and the ball is dug out by Murray. Carberry, now can he get this backline moving? Billy Holland takes it up to halfway. Munster reset in behind with Carberry, and now Healy hits the line at pace, and he gets away from 1 or 2 challenges, and he's up to 10 metres. And it's Arno Bota, and he can certainly break through a couple of challenges. 8 minutes to go. Castres lead Munster by 13 points to 12, and Munster going down that far side, and they're making good inroads, and they're showing that patience that Jeremy's been talking about. Oh, that's really good from Conway, and he released Murray, and Murray almost got away, but the referee's whistle will call us back.
Munster being very efficient there, coming back on the blind side. They're getting good width to their attack. They're being available very quickly, back on their feet, and they're posing problems against this Castres defence.
Joey Carberry has been called ashore here for the last 8 minutes. A mixed night for Munster's number 10, who plays tonight by virtue of the fact that he loosened up that hamstring, which saw him pull out of the game late on at Thomond Park in Limerick, but he's missed 3 attempts at goal this evening, and could that be the ultimately deciding factor of this game?
Munster will have many regrets tonight after this performance. It's not often you go to France, you come away with 4 penalties at scrum time, 2 lineouts where they infringed on their own ball, missed opportunities at posts. This really was a game which is in the balance for them tonight, but they should really have been clear by now.
And so a couple of more switches. Kevin Fearman is coming back in to the Castres side, and it's all just gone a little bit flat and quiet while we await the resetting scrum away over on that far side. Just for a second it looked as though Andrew Conway was going to release Conor Murray, and Munster could have been in for what potentially could have been a match-winning try. The referee had spotted a knock-on, and it's a Castres scrummage inside their own 22. 2 yellow cards tonight for Castres, who, remember, beat Exeter here by 29 points to 25 despite playing 44 minutes with 14 men. The scrum penalty this time goes the way of the home side. Wayne Barnes indicating a Castres penalty, and the clock is ticking down still further, and there's another little flash point just after the two packer forwards pick themselves back up, and a little fracas just slows everything down again. And at the moment, albeit with just that 1 point advantage, it suits the French side.
This has been a physical performance tonight by Castres. They've got themselves back on the ground running. Their forwards have taken them on at maul time. They've suffered a bit at scrum time, but you can see that tempers are fraying a wee bit towards the end of this game, the way they did last week.
6 minutes to go, and there's a Castres player over on the far side receiving some attention, and the ball is in the hands of the Castres fullback Scott Spedding. The 32-year-old will get us restarted, and it'll be a Castres line-out when he kicks the touch over on that far side. Castres, remember, down to 14, but they're in front in the only place that really matters at this moment in time, and that is on the scoreboard. 13 points to 12.
I think moving forward, 6 minutes to go, we'll see Castres develop a maul here from the line out, try and keep the ball tight and just manage the last 6 minutes of this game moving forward.
Meantime, Jeremy Loughman is going to come in for Munster. Just those 4 penalties from Joey Carberry. They went in front inside the opening couple of minutes, and then he put them back in front as we approached the end of the first quarter. On 19 minutes they led by 6 points to 3, and then came that Fainunu try. 1 point margin. Castres line-out is taken well, and they get that maul trundling forward and up towards halfway over on the far side of the pitch, and they're still going, and they're realigning and remanning the pump. And the referee is not popular because he's seen something in there, and he's going to give a Munster penalty.
Excellent defence there from Munster.
They've got somebody
just sapping all their energy.
Finn Weecherly, by the way, is coming in. Billy Holland is going off. What's he spotted over on that far side, Jeremy? Is it they just got detached, did they, from that maul?
The ball carrier at the back of the maul there just got a wee bit isolated and got turned into the middle, and the ball got held up. So scrum from Munster in this attacking zone.
So just a scrum, but listen to the vocal support of this home crowd at the Pierre-Fabre. 5 minutes to go, and they know just how important the next 5 minutes are to their ambitions in Europe this season, and so too to the ambitions for Munster going forward. High ambitions of the potential of a home quarter final. They were excellent away from home at Sandy Park when they drew with the Exeter Chiefs in round 1. They were pretty good for 60 minutes at least against Gloucester when they won handsomely. There's a penalty to Castres there. It's been a real flashpoint tonight. Scrum penalties have gone largely Munster's way. There's been a couple the way of Castres. That one, Jeremy, could be the most crucial one of them all.
Very much so. We can see the power coming through there. Obviously, Castres a man down. They've still managed to put the pressure on and steal that possession.
And you just wonder now, in the 77th minute, is that the game up for Munster? There was a decent opportunity from which to try and manufacture something. As it is, Castres have it. Oh, that's a huge kick down into the Munster 22. listen to the roar of the Castres supporters, because they are right here now on the front foot in the dying embers of this game, and Munster have got a long, long way to go to try and get themselves into a position from where they can snatch an unlikely victory from the jaws of defeat, because they don't have the ball. Castres will deliver this line-up. Fearman, who is back with us, he will go to the front, surely they do. It's scrappy ball, knocked back on the Castres side into the 22. Munster need their hands on it. They need to turn this over. They need to force a penalty. They just have to find something. They're in losing bonus point position, of course. You just wonder what Johan van Graan will make from that, because as Jeremy has said, they put themselves in a position tonight to win the game, and it's no easy thing to do, to come away to France and win a game at the home of the French champions, of course, tonight. Remember, they drew here around this time last year, 17 points apiece. It's been a similar type of game, very, very tight, lots of strategy and tactics deployed, but ultimately Castres are exactly where they would like to be, but not for this moment, because there is a penalty at the breakdown, and there is absolute disgust and chagrin on the faces of the Castres supporters, who jump to their feet around us, not happy with Wayne Barnes yet again. The penalty count is fascinating at this juncture. JJ Hanran's got to be quick, and every second counts, and he's thumped that down to a good touch on the Munster right hand side, just over halfway.
That's an incredible steal from Tag Byrne, just taking that pressure off, and Munster have got one last attacking option to get in here and get some points on the board to win this game.
The clock reads 78 minutes and 45 seconds, and it's with the Munster line-up to try and get something on a Tag Byrne. Got up, but so too did the lifter in front of him. It struck Byrne's hand. It struck a Castres hand too, and Castres have turned it over. You cannot take your eyes off this. It's been so intriguing at scrum time, at line-out time, the breakdown. It's been a real dogfight. It's been an absolutely cracking contest. It's been a proper game played in the south of France, the type of game that we thought it would be. Not over yet though. 79 minutes and 20 seconds, and the home fans trying to sing their side over the finish line here. Great noise and adulation for the performance that Castres have put in, because they were poor last week by their own very high standards. They didn't show up or front up at times, and tonight they certainly have. They've weathered many a storm tonight, but it looks as though, as we tick towards 80, that it will be enough. They will just run the clock down here for the final 10 seconds. Wayne Barnes is poised. There's 3, 4, 5 Castres players there, and Urde Paletta is running all the way towards his own try line, and he thumps the ball into touch, much like Jean-Baptiste Elasalde against the All Blacks for France many years ago at the World Cup. He ran all the way towards his own try line. He hacks it into touch, and the French champions have beaten Munster in Castres by a single point. What a game, what a finish. 13 points to 12. Jeremy, cracking contest.
Yeah, this has been a hugely physical contest tonight, really confrontational. Castres stepped up to the mark, rightful winners, having scored the only try of the game, but Munster can come away tonight with lots of regrets. They had lots of opportunities to score, many points left behind, and it's not often you go away from home and the opposition team has 2 yellow cards.
So as we have said time and again, Pool 2 in this competition will go right the way down the wire. Yes, it's a losing bonus point for Munster, but on the reflection of the 80 minutes, they had many opportunities, most of them from the kicking tee, given the fact that we finished with a 1-point game, to snatch this game. They approached it very, very well tactically from Johan van Graan's point of view. They played position and territory when it suited them, but ultimately they've been undone by a late penalty from Urde Paletta, and for 20 minutes of the game they played against 14. Scannell was in the bin himself for 10 minutes, but that is what they take away from France, just that 1 point. Had they managed to get 4, they would have felt surely they had within their own destiny a place, a home quarter final no less, in the Heineken Cup, but so much still to be resolved in this group.
All right, Conor, great stuff. Conor Morris there. You're going to go down and talk to the Munster management team. Jeremy, stick with us there. We want to get your reaction and analysis to that performance, but I do want to go to the Aviva very quickly because the full-time whistle has gone. Leinster 42, Bath 15. Andy Dunn was watching this. As convincing as it sounds, Andy?
Absolutely. Very well deserved. The game became very subdued in that second half, largely due to conditions. The wind was really swirling. Ironically, there was a lot of Leinster flags made their way onto the field. I think the wind picked up a lot of debris from the stands. So Leinster were thoroughly deserving of it. Got one very, very well taken try with about 15 minutes to go. A turnover in midfield. Again, a Bath unforced handling error. Saw Andrew Porter collect the ball off the floor and rampage downfield like a rhino. He overran two Bath defenders. McConaughey, the fullback, he trampled him, and from the ensuing ruck, James Lowe got his hands free again and very kind of basketball style flipped the ball underneath the tackler's arm to a supporting Jameson Gibson Park, who ran in unopposed from about 20 metres. Probably the highlight of that second half, which did become quite dour and affected by the conditions.
All right, stick with us, Andy. We'll come back to you in a minute and get a bit more analysis of where Leinster are going from here. Where they stand in the group is that Toulouse are on 17 points. Leinster are on 15. Bath and Wasps are essentially out of it. Leinster host Toulouse in match day 5 at the RDS. That's a game you'll hear live on Off the Ball. But let's go back to France, because Munster have been beaten 13-12 by Castres. Jeremy Davidson was watching this. Leaves it very, very nicely poised heading into the last 2 rounds of fixtures, Jeremy. Munster do get the losing bonus point, means they're on 12. Castres second on 9, and then you have Exeter and Gloucester both not out of it on 8 points. Munster go to Gloucester in their next match before they host Exeter at home in Thomond Park in what will be a must-win game, you would imagine, still for that final place. And it looks as though, when you look at the points total, maybe only one team will get out of this pool heading into the quarter-finals. Where did it go wrong, Jeremy? Was it just that Munster simply weren't clinical enough?
Absolutely. Tonight the weather was a real leveller, so unfortunately too many errors, not clinical enough in the key zone in the opposition 22. Castres went on to score the only try of the game, and therefore were just winners. It was a very, very physical battle. Munster played the right type of game majority of the time in the opposition half, but unfortunately just didn't score enough points in those key areas. A lot of points left from the tee as well, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, hugely frustrating for Johan van Graan over the past week. They come away with 5 points from these 2 games, but it could have been so easily so much more. It could well have been a full 10 points from these 2 matches, and they'd be comfortably on their way to the quarter-finals. Like, that lack of a cutting edge seemed to cost them towards the end of the game last week, and again today. Is there something fundamentally wrong with the way they're playing, that they can't kick on and kill off teams?
No, not at all. I think this team will learn from this defeat tonight. They'll have a lot of regrets. They'll go home, they'll have a look at the game, they'll go through their analysis, they'll grow as a team, and they'll move into these last 2 games and really want to stamp their authority on this group moving forward. Last week they could have been 20 points ahead after the first half, with the amount of possession they had, with the amount of territory they had. So moving forward, I think there will be a click moving forward, and they'll be able to kick on and qualify from the top of this group.
It was the first time we saw Carbery and Murray together. I suppose the headline story will be Carbery's missed penalty at the end, but together, how did that partnership go?
Well, Connor's kicking game was excellent as usual, and Joey, he pulled the strings well. Unfortunately, the weather conditions just didn't really weren't really good for playing running rugby tonight, and Munster couldn't really impose their attacking game. It was more of a counter-attack game than anything else. So unfortunately we didn't really see the true value of 9 and 10 tonight. Sure. But I think they'll perform very well together moving forward.
Yeah, it felt as though in the second half that I don't want to say their discipline cost Munster, but that they almost got a little bit of rattled again. Much like the first game, there was an awful lot of niggle in that last 20 minutes, half an hour. Every time there was a break in play, there was a bit of pushing and shoving. There was players running 20, 30 yards to get involved. All a little bit unnecessary, it felt.
Well, look, there has been a lot of history between Munster and Castres in the past over the years, and there always has been that certain amount of niggle. Moving forward from last week, we knew that it was going to be a very tough, physical, confrontational game, and neither team wanted to take a step backwards, so I think it's understandable.
All right, Jeremy, great stuff. Thanks a lot for that.
Thank you.
Jeremy Davidson there, the Brief coach, who's part of our commentary team, as Munster were beaten in France 13-12. And as I say, it was very, very tight in that group now. Munster on 12 points, Castres on 9 points, Exeter and Gloucester both on 8 points. Munster go to Gloucester early in the new year for the first match of round 5. Andy, I'm not sure if Andy is there or Andy is gone. We will hopefully get Andy Dunn back, but what we'll do first is we'll take a quick break.
Castres v Munster, live from Stade Pierre-Fabre.
On Off the Ball, The Picture Show.
In this week's Picture Show, we look at the documentary Free Solo and talk about the professional climber Alex Honnold as he scales the world's steepest cliff face without ropes, harnesses or any other safety equipment. And we review the fantasy adventures Aquaman and Mortal Engines as they go on general release.
The Picture Show.
With me, Philip Malloy, at the later than usual time of 8 o'clock on Saturday.
On News Talk.
Ever wondered what life is really like in the New York Police Department? NYPD Behind the Scenes is a stunning new book by award-winning Irish photographer Mark Condren. Photographed over 2 years whilst embedded with the NYPD, it captures the humour, heartache and heroism in the day-to-day life of New York's finest. A limited edition of NYPD Behind the Scenes is now available. Secure your copy in time for Christmas at markkondren.com.
Ah, Christmas. A time for giving. Giving out, mostly, about the queues in car parks. But also a time for taking. Taking your time and getting all your Christmas gifts online at appliancesdelivered.ie. You'll be amazed at the presents you can buy. Hairstylers, coffee machines, fitness trackers, smoothie makers. And we deliver right up to Christmas. So even if you've forgotten great Auntie Nora again, there's still time. This year, have Christmas delivered by appliancesdelivered.ie.
The all-new Dacia Duster is more rugged, robust and even better looking. And from €149 per month, it's got the perfect figure too. It's the sort of car you'd swipe right on. The sort of car you'd do the dirt with. And by that I mean take it for a drive. Off-road. Light your fire for the all-new Dacia Duster. Visit your local Dacia dealer today. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required subject to lending criteria. See dacia.ie.
Just off the Connemara coast, near the village of Claddaduff, lies the tidal island of Omagh. Every year, visitors are drawn to its scenic beauty, stunning sandy walks, and the intriguing history of the people that lived there. Omagh Island by James Morrissey is a treasure trove of their memories, family stories and photographs. Visit Omagh this Christmas from the comfort of your armchair. Omagh Island by James Morrissey, on sale now in good bookshops.
Your partner's unique, romantic, exceptional. So for Christmas, get your special someone a voucher for a relaxing spa break at Monart. It's also unique, romantic, exceptional. And because Monart has been voted one of the very best spas in the world, you can relax too. Visit monart.ie. Something special for your someone special.
Castres v Munster, live from Stade Pierre-Fabre.
On Off the Ball.
Alright, you're welcome back to Off the Ball. We're here all the way till 8 o'clock this evening because it's been a big night in the Heineken European Champions Cup. Munster beaten in Castres by 13 points to 12. Joey Carberry missed the late penalty that would have won it for Munster, but they remain on top of Pool 2. They're on 12 points, Castres on 9 points, Exeter and Gloucester both on 8 points. Munster go to Gloucester and then host Exeter in their last 2 games. It was a different story though at the Aviva Stadium, where Leinster, the defending champions, were convincing winners against Bath.